I love you. You know I love you. I'm trying to watch it every day. I watch it every day. I watch I ain't smoking on those Joe Barrels today. I'm smoking on the Philly Blunts today. Hey, that's what I'm smoking.
We almost made it a whole year, and honestly, it was quite the year. A year that we got to focus on football and not cringy TikTok dances. But unfortunately, it seems like as a result of the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen, he's back. So before we get to the content, don't worry, this is going to be my first of 2 videos today. We have some very legitimate NFL news I have to get to you guys later on today as well. So make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications because we are on the grind to 700,000 subscribers. And now that we get all that out of the way, break! So many of my subscribers listened to me and made bank on the Super Bowl, bro. You remember when I told you to sign up with my promo code microphone to get a $100 deposit match? And then said this? And if Kenneth Gainwell gets more than 21.5 rush yards, you could 3x your money. Now, if you feel really good about this, you could also add Travis Kelce scoring 1 touchdown. And if both of these hit, you 5x your money. Well, a lot of you guys slid into my DMs on Instagram to show me how much money you made because of this hit. So a huge shout out to all of you, man. I only have my promo code live for 2 more weeks, so I'm still gonna be posting my picks onto my Instagram account at The Flight Mike, and we're definitely gonna make some picks for the XFL and the USFL. And I post NBA picks onto my Instagram story on a daily basis. So make sure you sign up with my promo code microphone to get a $100 deposit match while it's still active. And thank you, Prize Picks, for making us all a bunch of money on Super Bowl Sunday. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? This past year was a remarkable year for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, a year that saw him shattering narratives. I mean, they traded his best wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, for additional depth, and the result of that was, well, another Super Bowl. My own narrative about a top 5 paid quarterback not being able to win Super Bowls because, well, they were paid way too much, which resulted in the quality of talent surrounding said quarterback taking a little bit of a hit. But on top of that, he shattered the Super Bowl/regular season MVP curse, which now is technically a drought, being the first player in over 20 years to win the NFL MVP and also win a Super Bowl. And on top of that, he won Super Bowl MVP. If you guys remember going back to last year, the big story surrounding Patrick Mahomes was what was slowing down Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he had a remarkable year on paper, but by his own standards so far, in comparison to the other years of his career, people saw it as a little bit of a step back. He threw the most interceptions he's ever had throughout his entire career last year, and the Kansas City Chiefs got off to a rocky start. He usually finishes within the top 3 for MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. Last year, he just finished as a Pro Bowler. And there was actually a narrative going on that Patrick Mahomes' family played a huge hand in this. The fact that he was so distracted off of the field, and the fact that he couldn't focus on football 100% is the reason why the Chiefs didn't make it all the way to the Super Bowl last year, which, yeah, that was the narrative, believe it or not. To be honest, do I think there was some legitimacy to that narrative? Well, I don't think it really helped Patrick Mahomes when his family's constantly in the media. I don't think it was the sole reason, no, for sure not. So last year, if you remember, in September of 2021, Patrick Mahomes' brother Jackson was caught pouring water on a Baltimore Ravens fan who clearly was happy about this situation where he got a reaction out of Jackson. Afterwards, Patrick Mahomes was straight up asked in an interview how he felt about this incident, and he had this to say.
Obviously, it's something that we don't want to necessarily do. There was things said to him and Brittany that you don't see kind of on the clip. But I mean, he's been good at it, at not trying to respond to that stuff. He takes a lot, and he's usually pretty good at it, and he'll learn from it, and just try to stay away from those people as best he can.
1 month later, Jackson Mahomes once again trended for the wrong reason. This time, it was for doing a cringy TikTok dance on top of Sean Taylor's memorial. This was by far one of the most disrespectful things I think we've ever seen in the NFL, and I think this is one thing that the NFL community just got together and united on. Because it's one thing to be riding the coattails of your all-world brother and getting to experience experience things that you wouldn't typically be able to experience as a result of it. But going as far as to install players that are legends in this game, especially if you consider the story of Sean Taylor, which we made a video on, how he tragically had his life ended way too soon, it just gives Jackson Mahomes this look of entitlement, kind of like he's a spoiled brat that is oblivious to what his actions are. And it seemed like that was right, because a month later, once again, Jackson Mahomes trended for the wrong reason, this time because he was trying to cancel a bar that was overpacked and gave them bad service, to which the bar clapped back and said,
"Hey, we're a small business. We don't really know why you're trying to cancel us, but we were way too busy to serve your entitled,"
before inevitably apologizing. Jackson Mahomes wasn't the only individual that would get a decent amount of hate last year. A lot of people would hate on Patrick Mahomes' fiance, now wife, Brittany, just for the way that she would taunt other teams, the way she would celebrate. Now, ultimately, you would think that as a result of Patrick Mahomes' family being in the media way too freaking much for the wrong reasons, he probably had a conversation with them about the media training, because at the end of the day, he's Patrick Mahomes and there's going to be a decent amount of spotlight on him. And it seems like that worked. We didn't hear about these two all season long. Honestly, the only member of the Mahomes family that got more spotlight recently was Pat Sr., which, by the way, this guy needs to be on television more often. I mean, how the hell did this human being father Jackson Mahomes?
It was Joe Burrow last week.
Billy Blunt this week.
It's Philly this week.
Billy Blunt.
That's not the only clip that he had. He also said this following the AFC Championship.
You got a cigar of your own, I see.
Yeah, I'm smoking the Joe Burrow.
You smoking on the Joe
I'm
Burrow.
smoking on the Joe Burrow.
How's it feel to be headed back to Super Bowl?
It feels great, you know. My baby boy did what he always do. You know, he gonna show up and show out. And I'm just glad he did it.
And for the love of God, I would really, really do anything to watch Pat Mahomes Sr. sit at the dinner table with Jackson Mahomes. At this point, you might be wondering, Mike, what's the point of this video? It didn't really seem like you gave us any new information about Jackson. Well, last night, upon the victory of the Kansas City Chiefs over the Philadelphia Eagles, Jackson Mahomes didn't want to miss his opportunity at, I guess, clout chasing, whatever you want to call this, because he returned to TikTok with this. Now, here's what's comical about this entire situation. If you look in the background, you could see Travis Kelce actually going up and celebrating. So it seems like this dance routine actually took a couple of takes. What do I mean by that? Well, when Patrick Mahomes was giving his post-game interview, you could see Jackson Mahomes over and over again in the background doing his absolute best to, I guess, do some sort of TikTok trend or post some sort of story or whatever. And here's the thing, man, like at first, yeah, I think it was very low-hanging fruit to bag on this guy, because when Patrick Mahomes was first starting for the Kansas City Chiefs, Jackson was 17 years old. He was a senior in high school going into college. He still had a lot of life to figure out. Yeah, he was a little immature. Yeah, he was a little spoiled, but okay, it makes a lot of sense. Maybe he still has some figuring himself out to do. I guess you could say I was a little weird as a 17-year-old. I was a little crazy. I did some stupid stuff as a 17-year-old, so I was willing to give him a pass. But now he's 22 years old, and it seems like this man hasn't really evolved from a 17-year-old at all. He's still doing the same cringy TikTok dances. It seems like the moment the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, Jackson was like,
"Oh, okay, well, the season's over. I can go back to doing weird TikTok dances on the football field again, because everybody loved when I did that."
At the end of the day, I don't think it really matters, because you have Patrick Mahomes like winning a Super Bowl here. It's not like it was last year where Patrick Mahomes was clearly trying to study a playbook, and then you had Jackson and Brittany like distracting him quite literally, or you would have videos of Patrick Mahomes looking irritated as Jackson and Brittany were doing dances. But at the same time, man, I think I speak for the entire NFL world when I say let's get less of Jackson in the national spotlight and a little bit more of Pat Sr., because this guy is an absolute baller. I still have no idea how this man fathered Jackson Mahomes, to be honest. But yeah, I just figured we'd have a brief conversation about this. Hopefully I don't make another video on this ever again, but we all know how it tends to go. So aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.